pretend there's a documentary crew filming your success story and they're following you around right now. What would you do? What would you do if you knew that there was a crew following you around with cameras documenting your future incredible success and they want to catch you in the act of it all? You would do all the right things you would have to do. Think about that. Organize it. There's an expression that I've said on this podcast many times, but I'll say it again, is that hard times create hard men. Hard men create soft times. Soft times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. We are now around soft men and hard times.
Yeah.
We're in the time of toxic masculinity, right? Where you could be toxically male. And then if you're suppressing masculinity, you're going to bring on hard times. It doesn't mean masculinity doesn't mean you're mean. It doesn't mean you're angry. It means strength.
Yes.
It means discipline. It means the ability, like you need a military. And if you don't think you need a military, you need to go and pay attention to the rest of the world, because there's militaries all over the world that are doing horrific things. If you don't have a military in this country that can combat that and at least act as a deterrent to them doing things, you're going to get taken over. That's what's happened. I mean, look what's happening to Hong Kong, right? I mean, this is a city that essentially doesn't have a military, and they were a British colony for a long time, and they gave it back over to China, and they were kind of acting like they were independent until recently, and during the pandemic, they ramped it up, and it's gotten even worse. It's exactly what we talked about. You can't be weak. And in this country, being weak is thought of as a virtue. Jordan Peterson has a really interesting way of looking at this, and he said it to me once, and it made a lot of sense. He said, people think that you should be weak and you should be docile, and then you should be a pacifist. He goes, no, you should be a monster. He said you should be a monster, you should be ruthlessly ambitious, and then learn how to control it. And it's that old expression, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. It's an old expression, but it makes sense, because it doesn't mean that you can't be kind if you're strong, but it does mean you can't be strong if you're weak. If you're weak, you're fucked. And there's a lot of weak people in this country right now that are trying to take control, and they're gathering up all the other weak people, and they say, yeah, let's all be weak together. And they're willing to embrace all sorts of ideas that have been disproven, not just disproven, that have caused the deaths of untold millions of people in Maoist China and Stalinist Russia, and it's crazy. And they're short-sighted, and they're short-sighted because in the short term, they want their tribe to win, and there's so many weak people that'll join along with them. There's so many just simple-minded dullards that just want to promote their tribe. Like the difference between a dog and a wolf is just thousands of years of breeding. It's the same animal, which is wild. He's an ancestor of a wolf. They've turned him into this thing through thousands of years of breeding.
Is that what
just
they're doing
like
to
they're
us?
trying to do to men? Exactly. That's what they're trying to do.
Where's
to men.
Andrew Tate when you need him?
Yes, that's what this toxic femininity shit, or masculinity. Toxic femininity is right. That was a Freudian slip. But toxic masculinity, what that means is like, oh, you mean the men who carved the world.
Yes, now you don't need them.
Yeah,
So now you want to get rid of them.
But you do need them. You just don't think you need them because you don't need them right now. And then Russia has them, and China is making them more... China's making them more masculine.
So then what do we do? Like, how do we recognize this trait? Okay, we want to make life more palatable for everyone, right? But sometimes you need some badass mother to do the things that a lot of people don't want to do. And then the second life is safe, you go, well, why do we have bad people around?
Exactly.
They might make some bad decisions. So how do we keep the quote unquote like bad guys around long enough so in case something needs to be done, they handle it? And I think like the American way of doing it is going, hey, we're just going to like kind of create these little organizations that do the bad shit, and the American people don't really need to know about it. We'll go handle that stuff. You don't need to know. Enjoy your life and live your life. And we'll make sure everything is cozy and cool, and then you're not voting for the guy that does the bad thing. It's kind of like a nice system.
It's a very good system for creating innovation, right? Because you leave people
and
the
emotional
opportunity.
Comfort.
Yeah, but you leave people the opportunity to go and do other things. But it also is an opportunity for people to be unrealistic about the world. Like Israelis are very realistic about the world.
They have to be.
They have to be.
Yeah.
And they also have mandatory military service.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that have said that if America had mandatory military service, you'd have a lot more patriotism, a lot more people who understand like the role that the American military plays in the world.
Yeah.
And that, you know, yeah, the American military has done some terrible things.
Skin
Just
in the
like
game.
every single military organization that has ever existed in history.
That had the power to.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, if you don't have power, you can't say what you would or wouldn't do
Right.
with that power. It's hard. Like, if you really look at like the American power structure and the benevolence attached to it, like that to me is like the most impressive thing about like a George Washington and stuff. Like, you could have ran it back. Everybody loves you. You could just continue to be the new king, if you will.
Right, like Putin's done in
Literally.
Russia. Yeah.
And he's supported.
Yeah.
Right? The people there, for the most part, love him. Or at
Yeah.
least that's the information we're getting. But like, I even talk to guys like Lex, and it's like, yeah, there are people there that love him. He's like favorable.
Well, it's also they control the media.
Exactly, so they're getting the shit that's out there.
Propaganda.
100%.
I was talking to someone who has a relative over there in Russia, and they were saying that they thought that Ukraine was filled with Nazis,
Yeah.
and they were over there to liberate the Ukrainian people. And so the propaganda is that Ukraine has been run by Nazis.
Yo, liberation is a great excuse for invasion, bro.
Oh yeah, it's a great excuse.
It's benevolent.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
want to be the good guy.
it's literally what they did to go into Iraq in
course.
the First War.
Yeah, or every time we
when they
invade.
invaded Kuwait, like, oh, we have to save those Kuwaitis. Like,
Those
why?
poor Kuwaitis. People in America don't know what Kuwait is,
Right,
can't
what
spell
are we
Kuwait.
doing? Yeah.
But I wonder if, and like I've joked around about this, but I wonder if like life gets to a certain point of inconvenience where you start being okay with dark tactics being taken to return you to convenience.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
once things get ugly,
Yeah.
then you're more than happy to have the military go and do awful shit.
It's not the military. It's like, I got a lady in my building, right? Who's like, she's kind of like a Karen, right? And Joe, I love her because she does the shit I want her to do.
She's the Antifa you're building.
Yeah, but like somebody's loud. Somebody's loud. Somebody's having a
Yeah.
crazy party. I know Danielle's got it. Like, I don't gotta
Right.
call nobody.
Right.
I might send a text like, Danielle, are you hearing this? Already on it. So it's like,
Already on it.
that's my CIA. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
She's your Antifa.
or Antifa or whatever the organization is. Like the second life is, the gas prices are too high, all of a sudden weapons of mass destruction, or the second anything is about to be inconvenient,
Yeah.
there's the group that goes and does it, and then I don't have to feel weird like I
Right.
snitched on the person in the elevator. I
Yes.
just get to sit and smile. That's, I think, the American or like the Western experience. We're
Right.
removed from the things we would feel guilty about. Like, even in America, we all say, like, to everybody around the world, like, oh yeah, we hate that they did that thing with their weapons of mass destruction. It's
Right.
disgusting what they did in Iraq. We like $3 gas.